Blessed are you who believe what the Lord said to you would be fulfilled. Blessed, that's Mary. She believed everything that the Lord said to her would be fulfilled. And so as we celebrate the solemnity of the Assumption today, where she, at the end of her life on earth, her body was not left to rot in the grave, but rather she went body and soul into heaven. This is the solemnity of the Assumption, that Jesus came and took his mother, fully human, into heaven. What great grace. And it was because it's the fruit of the fact that she trusted God. Trusted God fully with everything in her life, that what God said would be fulfilled. And so the question then is, do we believe, do we trust that everything that God says will be fulfilled? Our God is a good, good Father, and He likes to take care of us. It's not just that He has to take care of us. Oh, these cruddy kids, I have to put up with them. No, He loves to take care of us. He delights to care for us. This is our God. But do we believe? Do we believe that God is going to conquer? Do we believe that what Our Lady said in Fatima 100 years ago will be fulfilled? Meaning that her Immaculate Heart will triumph. We look around the world today, I'm not so sure if we believe that. Certainly it's hard to believe in this struggling world. Our Lady comes as Queen of Peace. And 100 years ago she said, the war, which was happening at the time, World War I, she says, the war is going to end. But unless you do these things, a greater war will come. Guess what? We didn't do the things, and a greater war came, World War II. And now as we look around the world today, we might wonder, is World War III going to happen soon? And maybe it will. But it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. Our Lady is Queen of Peace. Do we believe that what was said to us by the Lord through Our Lady will be fulfilled? She said we can have peace, that her Immaculate Heart will triumph. What needs to be done? Well, she said a number of things has to be done. One is that the Russia had to be consecrated to her Immaculate Heart. Well, we can check that off the checklist. That's done. March 25th, 1984, taken care of. Okay, so that part's done. Thanks be to God. But the rest of the things, well, sometimes it seems like it's too hard, Father. Well, you know, one of the things I'm thinking about, my mother's birthday is coming up in a couple weeks. Now, you always want to make sure you get Mom something good. And unfortunately, over the years, I've not always known exactly what to get Mom. And as I've gone to Mom, I says, what would you like for your birthday? Sometimes, like when I was younger, much younger, my mother would say, I just want you and your sister not to fight for the day. Knowing that was not a real possibility, we got something else. Rats! But what did Mom ask for? Mom asked for something and we didn't give her what she wanted. Mom, from heaven, asks us for some things. We say, well, I don't really want to give our mother that. But Mary is not just Queen of Peace, she's Mom. She says, I've told you what I want. Will you not give it to me? So what are the things other than consecrating Russia and the world? Well, she said she wanted each soul, each heart, to be consecrated to her. Now, the first time I did a 33-day preparation for consecration, let me tell you, it was hard. Because I was doing the traditional de Montfort one. If you've ever done the de Montfort one, it seems less like a prayer and more like, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get... Oh boy, this week they're adding more prayers. I'm going to get through this. Now, we have Father Michael Gately's 33 Days to Morning Glory. It's a breeze. It's so easy to get through compared to before. Where before I might have been spending 30 or 40 minutes trying to get through that, in addition to my other prayers I was doing. It's like now it's like, oh, I just have to read some few pages and, ponder over it throughout the day and try to live this a little bit better. That's not too hard. That's not too hard. So it's so easy now, thanks be to God and to Father Michael Gately, that we can now consecrate our hearts to Our Lady, giving ourselves to her. And then, so she wanted our hearts and our souls. What else did she ask? She asked for First Saturday devotions. She asked for 5 First Saturdays. Now, the First Saturday devotions were supposed to receive communion, or go to confession, or at least be in a state of grace, receive communion, recite 5 decades of the Rosary, and then spend 15 minutes in meditation on the mysteries of the Rosary, all with the intention of reparation to Our Lady's Immaculate Heart. What is all this about? It's about love. It's about growing in relationship with Our Lady. Not to be finished after we've done 5 First Saturdays in a row, but rather that we go and we console her heart. And with each time we go and do a First Saturday, we're able to pull a thorn out of her heart, which is so wounded by this world's sins and rejection of Almighty God. She asked for that. Do we even think about doing it? Is it on our radar to go and console Our Lady's heart on the First Saturdays? Another thing she asked for is prayer, specifically a daily rosary for peace. Father, a rosary every day? Seriously? That's going to take a long time. Well, it does take some time. But what it is, as we walk through the mysteries of the Rosary, Our Lady takes us by the hand and draws us into relationship with Jesus. Again, it's all about relationship. She's saying, I can change you. I can change your world. So much in our world has been changed because of the Rosary. So many battles which were going to lose the whole of Christianity were won because of the Rosary. Is it too much to ask? How much time do we spend on YouTube, watching television? You can get through any TV show, a half-hour TV show, and you're done the Rosary before that. It doesn't take as long as a half-hour TV show, unless you're really, really going slow. Our Father, who art in heaven. No, probably not. So, it's not so much that we don't have the time most often, it's that we don't have our priorities. Our Lady says, do you want peace? Do you want peace? Pray the Rosary for peace every day. This is a reality. This is a possibility. And then the other thing she asked for is our sacrifices. Now, I know we don't like the word sacrifice. It's a hard word to get used to. Comes from the Latin words, I've said this before, sacrum facere, to make holy. That when the children were told by the angel of Fatima in 1916 to sacrifice, they said, well, what does that mean? And he said, to make everything in your day, everything in your life, a gift to God, to lift it up to Him. It doesn't mean that we have to go looking for things to give up. It doesn't mean we have to go looking for mortifications. You can take off your hair shirt and throw it in the trash. We don't need to have those things. But what it is that we offer our sufferings. And we all have sufferings. For instance, you can take this moment right now of listening to Father Vaughn for 9 minutes and 4 seconds, and you can say, okay, I can lift this up to Almighty God, and maybe it'll bring conversion to his soul. Please God, do that. I'll be very happy for that. So we could do that. But it's not just our sufferings, not just the sufferings that we have in our lives, but it's also our joys. We're supposed to offer up our joys. The scriptures talk about a sacrifice of praise. That our praise goes to God as a sacrifice. Our daily duties. So, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Sacred Heart Auto League. I'm not sure that it gets you any insurance money in this world. But the Sacred Heart Auto League basically is about praying and offering up each time we get in the car to drive as a sacrifice to Almighty God. And isn't there a lot to sacrifice when we're driving along the road and somebody cuts us off, or we miss something and then they start calling us number one? There's all sorts of things out there as we're driving that can be offered up. Can be offered up as a gift to Almighty God. So we make sacrifices for what? For three things. One, for love of Jesus. Again, it's about relationship. Second, in reparation to Our Lady's Immaculate Heart, to remove those thorns from her heart. And third, for conversion of sinners. That's not too hard to remember. Love Jesus, console Mama, and help the people around us. So Our Lady asks, consecrating our souls, our hearts to her, giving First Saturdays, praying the daily rosary for peace, and sacrifice, offering up the daily duties, the daily things of our lives. As you're brushing your teeth tonight, as you're flossing your teeth, and you better floss because your dentist won't like it if you don't. But as you're flossing your teeth tonight, that you can say, okay, this is a gift for Almighty God. As you're laying out your clothes for the next day, or whatever it is you're doing, maybe you have to go and sweep up the kitchen, whatever it is, this can be a gift for Almighty God. This is because I love you, Jesus. That it doesn't take a lot, but it's the small things. And God says, I'm faithful. I promised you through Our Lady peace. And that peace starts here, inside of us. But it doesn't just stay there. It radiates out to our families, to our neighborhoods, to our world. Our Lady promised this. Blessed are you if you believe all that God has said will come to pass.